Oh, here we go. Running and thinking. Moving the body is actually really important for thought. Taking care of your body is taking care of your brain, keeping your mind clear, blood flow. It's so important to everything, right? So, why everybody ought to be a philosopher? I got a hill here. So it doesn't matter what you do for a living. Philosophy in its traditional, right, ancestral sense, going back to Plato and Socrates, is love of wisdom. It's not writing and publishing essays, which of course I do, or books, monographs like I do, but it's thinking deeply and loving wisdom in your life as a family person, as a community member, and as a worker, right? So, plumber, you need philosophy as much, if not more, than that philosophy professor, because what you do every day, you have to make sense of this life. You have one life to do it. As a Catholic, philosophy has always been understood as something Catholics do, central to Catholic education. I never had the benefit of a Catholic college, but I hear the Jesuit schools had always centralized philosophy. One of the old jokes was that you'd either come out of a Jesuit university being a theologian or an atheist, but there's something to it. Not being an atheist, but being thinking deeply about this universe we find ourselves in. None of us chooses to be born, right? None of us has decided beforehand this is the life we want to live. I'm a middle school teacher who also reads and thinks and writes and publishes. My dad was a union floor layer. My grandfather laid carpets for a living, right? Did they need any less to think? Socrates never wrote an essay in his life. Plato actually wrote most of what we know about him, right? And it's through Plato that we get some sense of who Socrates was. These deep questions that we all have to ask. Preparation to die, as philosopher Cornel West says. So I read the Bible every day, but I also read philosophy and poetry every day. Currently I'm reading Marx and his primitive accumulation section of Capital. Found an old book while on vacation. So one way to do philosophy is just reading and thinking out loud here on YouTube. Yeah, again, so YouTube is probably more similar to how philosophy is done by Socrates than, say, by Plato, who's writing stuff down. Socrates being an old retired veteran sitting on the street and using logic to try to figure out himself and the world around him. I mean, we see people like that every day, right? I'm not saying the homeless vets we talk to on the street today are as insightful or logically rigorous as Socrates. I'm saying that they do it and they're called to it just as much as everybody else, trying to make sense of this world. There was a movement in the 50s, right, where people went and lived as hobos, you know, on the road. Was that the poem series by Jack Kerouac? I haven't read those since high school. I'm 50, so that's a while ago. But yeah, I read poetry Because that's one way to do philosophy. Poets draw these pictures with words. And those pictures don't have it, they're not an answer like a philosophical text, but they're rather questions. They're like philosophical questions and uncertainty, and allow a lot of room for you to think. So that's one way. Grab a set of classic books and read classic philosophy and novels and poetry, nonfiction and fiction, biographies and history, and then think about it deeply. Like I said here on YouTube, you can just put stuff up and put your thoughts up, and you're getting as much philosophy, if not more, than people that got degrees in it. Because people who get degrees in it then go get jobs. Maybe they work as a law clerk, or they work as a manager at a retail store, or they work in a bank. And if they don't keep thinking, they don't keep developing as philosophers. It doesn't matter that they got a bachelor's of arts in it. That set them up in a really good way to think about the world. If they stop thinking, and the only time they thought about it deeply was when they were 18, 19, 20, 21, and they don't revisit it through the life of a 30-year-old, a 40-year-old, a 50-year-old, a 60-year-old, 70-year-old, 80-year-old, 90-year-old, they're not really benefiting from that lifelong of thought in the same way Socrates did, sitting on the street, retired vet, maybe begging for a little money, but also challenging people, saying, you're a lawyer, you must know what justice is. What's justice? No, I don't mean examples of justice. What is justice? Right? These deep questions that we want to know, that we need to know. You need to know them, I need to know them. It doesn't matter how busy or easy your job is. It doesn't matter how much you make or how little. We need to know these things, because death is coming for us, whether we've come to understand the universe or not.